It's actually the next day. We had family come over yesterday for dinner, so most of the day actually was spent on catching up on house chores. And though it wasn't exactly what I wanted to do, it absolutely had to be done, and it took a lot longer than what I was expecting. I ended up like going through our entire refrigerator, sorting through all of our milk, cucumbers, and all the garden veggies that are in the fridge right now. It's been a lot, but anyways, today is the day that I'm actually going to be able to spend most of it in the garden, and we have a lot to do. Today is basically garden reset day. A lot of my springish summer crops are petering out and succumb to squash bugs and all the other things. So a lot of things I'll be leaving just so the squash bugs have something to eat. And a lot of the stuff I'll be like tearing out and replanting and all that fun stuff, and I wanted to take y'all along with me, so let's go. Strawberries are all healthy and happy. Pepper plants are doing phenomenally. All the peppers are really healthy. Tomatoes really aren't bad. There's lots of like new growth. There's lots of green tomatoes, but you can tell that they're definitely stressed out. We had so much rain that, I mean, I'm pretty sure a lot of them have disease, but also, I don't actually know what they're called. Those leaf cutter bugs, I think is what it is. They look kind of like squash bugs. I don't know. They've been all over these tomato plants, but we also have lots of tomatoes on, so it's still kicking, still doing pretty good. Garden beds were where the potatoes were, and you can see I have little squash seedlings coming up all here, and then I've also got some zucchini over here in this bed. I haven't planted this yet. I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to put here, but yeah. And then these green beans are basically done. There's still new blooms on them, but I honestly just stopped watering them. It's time. They're determinate varieties, and it's just time to pull them out and start something else here. Squash and so zucchini is actually still producing, even though there's like a ridiculous amount of squash bugs all over. These squash plants are just done, absolutely done. Those are going to have to be pulled out, and these cucumbers as well. These cucumbers are still putting fruit on, but all the fruit is really wonky. So like we're getting fruit like this and like this. It's just time, and it's hard whenever plants are still producing to pull them out, but at the same time it's just time. They need to go. It is time, and the garden will be much more productive with new plants a little later, rather than just letting the handful of things that come off of these unhealthy plants keep going. So we're gonna reset a lot of the garden today. The pollinators are still really enjoying these flowers, which makes me so happy. We actually had a ton of yellow swallowtail caterpillars on our dill plants this year, and a lot of their chrysalises are gone, like they're hatched, and now we've got the butterflies. So you can see here, like, there's just so many things still in the garden beds that are just dead. So here I'm just kind of pulling some stuff out. There is like a ton of dill seeds on this dill on both sides in between the flowers. So that's pretty cool. I actually ended up saving quite a few of those seeds. I also just threw several of them down so I could have more dill in this garden bed. But pretty much the goal here is just to forget that some of this stuff is still productive, because really all of it is spent. And that's like the hardest part of garden cleaning out for me, is it's like, well, these are already really fully established plants and they are technically still producing, but nothing like they were earlier in the season. So it's just time to get rid of this stuff. That's always kind of a hard part for me, but especially because we're working with limited space right now. We only have so many of these raised beds, and so by leaving less productive things in the garden beds, I'm really sacrificing production. And I don't want to do that, especially because we're going into fall and winter, and I want to make sure that we're producing as much as possible before the colder season gets here. Not only that, but also because we are now selling to our local community. So it's not just our family that's benefiting from all of this loveliness. So getting as much as I can possibly get out that's not producing, and I'll be starting a bunch of seeds too, like fall seeds, broccoli, cauliflower, salad greens, things like that. And I'm gonna need a space to plant all of those things, right? So once they come up, so it's not just like cleaning out and planting squash and zucchini in the second wave of fall crops, but also keeping in mind that my seed starts are going to be coming in at some point, and I'll need, to be able to have topped off soil and a ready bed for whenever those get ready to go out. I know I've said this before, but the really cool thing about having a garden next to your chicken coop, if you're going to have a chicken coop that doesn't get moved, is you can literally take everything to the chickens, and they definitely appreciate it. And in our case, we also have rabbits in our chicken coop, and they also appreciate the fresh greens. So yeah, they have had buckets and buckets full at this point, but we're not quite done yet. Now we've got to move on to the cucumbers and start getting the cucumber trellis down. I absolutely love growing this. I love climbing things up trellises. This is our first year growing cucumbers up a cattle panel trellis like this, and it was definitely interesting. Like, we know what we're not going to do next year, which is basically like plant way too many plants on one trellis. While it didn't really seem to bother the plants, really everything was super fruitful and never really struggled with ventilation or anything like that. They were very healthy plants for a very long time. It was just really hard for us to get up in there and harvest. So we definitely won't be growing them that close together next year. And now I'm just ripping out the rest of that squash because it is just nasty and falling apart. There's quite a few things left that I'm going to need to pull out, but that's probably going to have to be another day. This is definitely taking a while, especially trying to unweave all of those cucumbers. That was brutal. But once we get all this done, we'll have a couple of good beds that we can plant stuff in. But first, we've got to top dress the soil. So we're going to go in and add compost and manure to the top of the beds. And that's just going to help with making sure that there's plenty of nutrients for the next wave of crops that we plant. And I don't really pay too much attention to crop rotation necessarily, but given the fact that I've had some pest pressure, I probably will not plant the same things that close together again. I'll probably space them out a little bit more, but I don't know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there. The cool thing about growing in the fall is you don't have near as much pest pressure as what you do in the spring and summer. I'm not really sure what it is about it. Maybe it's just the different life cycles in the critters. I don't know. I just know that when I grow a fall garden and a winter garden, the pest pressure is so much easier. And that's a wrap on the garden reset day. We got most all the dead things pulled out, the tomatoes pruned, all the stuff off of the trellises, and a blank canvas to start fall stuff. So thank you all so much for hanging out with me today. And remember, positivity starts with you. Bye.